Hello viewers, welcome back to our Excel fundamentals. Today we are going to continue with our series. Last time we looked at the global units, and today we are going to kickstart our series with the border control. That's what we are going to look at for now. Now, in order to adjust the formatting of these years you are seeing here, in order to adjust the formatting of these years, the ones that are across, those that we are seeing at the top of our financial model, in order for us to adjust the formatting, we really want to communicate that these first two periods here, these two periods here, those two periods have the actual numbers, because we are seeing from our income statement here, we've been given the figures for those two values, for those 2 years, or for those two periods, meaning those are going to be our actuals, and these other 5 periods afterwards, from 2024 to 2028, those 5 periods, for them, they are going to be actually forecasts. In other words, we are going to use the actuals of 2022 and 2023 to forecast those future values for the different years from 2024 to 2028. So let's actually start off by highlighting all the numbers across the top. We need to highlight all these numbers across the top, those different periods. So let's now use the Control Shift, then we use the right arrow to highlight across. We've gone too far, we can just move once, and we've now finished highlighting those values. It is a Control plus Shift plus the right arrow. It is the one that is helping us to highlight across. Now, if you want to use the mouse, you may have to remember from our video about the Excel tour. We would go up to this home section here, and because that is the home tab or the home section of the ribbon, we would go to that point over there, and under the formats, in other words, we are going to look at the number formats. It's where we go to those number formats, if at all we are to use the mouse, and it will bring that dialog box. So that's how we do if at all we are using the mouse. We go to the home section of the ribbon, and we go under the number formats, and we could click that little down arrow that you've seen, so that we can be able to see or to bring up this dialog box. We picked it from this small arrow you are seeing here, this arrow down in the bottom corner. It's the arrow, if you click it, it's the arrow that is going to help us to get to that dialog box. But we also said there is another option of using the keyboard shortcut to help us bring the same dialog box, because we said that most of our times we are going to spend most of the time when we are using the keyboard rather than using the mouse. So we can click the escape key just to back out from that. Then we are going to use the keyboard shortcut to be able to go to that same dialog box. So the keyboard shortcut that we are going to use is Ctrl+1. When you click Ctrl+1, and for those that are using PC, you click Ctrl+1, and those that are using MacBook, you click Command 1. So if you're using a MacBook, you hit the Command 1 so that you can be able to look at that same dialog box. But we said we are going to focus on the use of the PC than those users that are actually using the MacBook to do these kind of calculations. So what we are going to do next is we are going to hit the tab key. We hit the tab key once, and after hitting the tab key once, that gets us to that selection you are seeing, the one of general. It has selected that general here. When you click the tab key, it gets us to that. It helps us to go in the dialog box. So when we are at that selection, then now what we can do, we can use the down arrow to get all the way down to the custom section. We use the down arrow, we move slowly until we reach the custom section. When we are at that point, what we are going to do, we are going to design a custom format. For now, we want to get into this type box here. This type box you are seeing here. That's where I want to get into, but we don't want to use the mouse. So what are we going to do? What we are going to do is we are going to hit the tab key again. We hit it once, and it has selected that type box there that you are seeing. And now, what we are because we are seeing it has highlighted the word general. We are in that type section, and we want to delete what we have there so that we can type our format that we want. So what we are going to do, we are going to use the backspace. You hit the backspace, and that backspace is going to delete out and clear that type box. So we are going to put a 0 in that same place. We put a 0. We are putting a 0 in that type box that you are seeing right there. And if we were to put a 0.0, you would see that in the sample pane here, this is the sample pane right up here, we are seeing that the figures are going to show up as 2002.0, which is not what we are looking for. So let's back up this, and we just put in a 0. So we are going to delete this, and we just leave that figure as a 0. So we have put a 0 there, and then what we are going to put in there, we are going to put double quotes. To get those double quotes, you click Shift, then there is that button that is next to the Enter key that has those double quotes. So we are putting the double quotes, and what we are going to type next is we are going to put capital A. Let's put a letter A, and then also we add the same double quotes. Shift with that button with that has that double quotes again. So what this is going to do for us is going to put 2022 actual, because now you are seeing from the sample pane here, it is 2022A, which means 2022 actual numbers. we are making letter A to stand for actual numbers. Now that we have done that, we can now go ahead and click OK, or we can hit the enter key. Because we don't want to use the mouse, so we are going to say we press the enter key. And we've seen that it has put all the letters to all these figures because we had forgotten and we had highlighted all these values. But remember, the only values that we want to have that A are these first two, because not all of these are going to be actuals. So we undo that, Control Z, and we are going to only highlight only those two numbers. So we go back to the same procedure. Control 1, we hit the tab key once, then we use the down arrow to go back to our custom setting. Then we have also to hit the tab key again to get into our type text. So we use the backspace to delete that out. So what we are going to do, we type in a 0, and in that 0 we are going to add double quotes. We put capital letter, we also put double quotes. Then we click, we hit the enter key. So it has put those two letters, it has put actuals on years of 2022 and 2023. That's what we wanted to achieve, because these values of 2022 and 2023, those are the actuals that we have. So that's what we've done. We've made those actuals. And now what we have just done, we have done a format. In other words, we have changed the format of the previous values that we had. So these first 2 years that you are seeing, these are our actual values. But the ones you are seeing from 2024 going onwards, they are the ones that are going to be the forecasts. So let's highlight also these cells. We highlight also these cells from 2024 to 2028, because those are the ones that are going to be our forecasts. So after highlighting them, we also go through the same procedure. We hit the Control 1, and that Control 1 is helping us to get into that number formatting section of the ribbon. So we are now into that font cells. Now what format cells, we are going to format those cells. Now what we are going to do, for those that are going to be using MacBook, you instead of hitting the Control 1, for you are going to say Command 1 to get into this same dialog box. So what we are going to do, we are going to repeat the same procedure. We hit the tab key once, and that tab key is going to help us select that general. So what we are going to do, we use now the down arrow. We hit the tab key once so that we can get into that same dialog box. So what we are going to do, we use the down arrow to go to custom. After reaching custom, then we also tap the tab key again once, and it is going to help us select that general. So what we do, we click, or we delete that by hitting this bigger button you are seeing, the backspace. It is the one that we use to delete, because we are deleting what is in that type box so that we can replace that with an F. So what we are going to do now, we are going to repeat the same procedure. We are going to put a 0. When we type a 0 there, we put the double quotes. We put F, we also add the double quotes. And you are seeing from the sample size here, we have 2024. Then you can come and hit the enter key. You are seeing that our values have now been changed. These are 2022 actuals, and these are 2024 forecasts. I've just repeated that procedure, but there is a shortcut that we can use. You can highlight all of these at once and you change them at once, but we shall do that in our advanced features. We shall also be able to see those when we reach to those different Excel advanced courses. But for now, let's go slow as it may look, but when we are actually getting the concepts. So we can now see that we have all those values formatted well. Now, the other thing that we can do to make these years really stand out is make them bold. Because now we need also to change the formatting. We highlight these values and we make them bold by just using that shortcut Control B. We've made those values bold, so it makes them to stand out. So Control B helps us to bold that values. Now, since we have these values well labeled, and we have those actuals and we have those that are forecasts, we've done that perfectly. So let's now provide a little bit more of a visual clue to the reader, because we need to differentiate to get, at least we make the reader see the difference. And how are we going to do that? What we are going to do is we are going to do this by using borders. So let's start by putting a nice dark bottom border in place for actuals. So we start with these actuals. We first highlight them. I'm just highlighting them using the mouse, but we said there is a shortcut that we can use to highlight those values. So for these actuals, what we are going to use, we are going now to use the keyboard. We are not going to touch the mouse. What we are going to do is we are going to use the keyboard key, that is Alt key. And that Alt key, when you hit Alt key once, it will display those first letters as we are seeing them. So what do we want? What are we trying to look at? We are trying to look at borders. So we know that borders are within the home section of the ribbon. So what we have to do is we press or we click H for home, and it will bring all those letters, new letters, as you are seeing them. So now we can see that here, for borders here, the borders are in here. We are seeing there is a letter B. So what we are going to do, we also hit B for borders. And now at the end of the bottom, we are seeing there is M here for more borders. Sorry, it has gone off. So we highlight, we go to Alt H, B for borders. Then we have our M for more borders. So when you hit M, it brings up this dialog box here, that dialog box you are seeing there. Now, in this dialog box, we actually find it very easy for us to use the mouse here, because we can't now apply the keyboard shortcuts. We can apply them, but it will be too much. So what we recommend here, we prefer to use the mouse here. So we can go and select the border that we are looking for on this right hand side. This is where we select the border from. So now let's just pick this one, the third one from the bottom. I've just picked that. But now what we are looking at, we also want to make this work stand out. So we have also to apply colors. So we need also to define a color for this border. So we are going to put in let's try to put in a nice blue color. Let's go to where is there is color. You click on this automatic, you find color, there is a drop down list here. When you hit on that drop down list, it is going to take you to, we are going to see that we have, if you click on that color arrow, you will find that you are going to go and see this color palette. So what we are going to pick, let's go to more colors. Now, when you go to more colors, we want to select something specific. We just need a blue color. So let's go to custom. We hit the custom because now we know we have these colors that we've selected that are going to help us have something nicer. We have these colors. I've selected these colors basing on the colors I personally like, because I'm a Chelsea supporter, so most of the times I'm going to be using blue. That's why you can see I'm also selecting blue. So a blue one won't necessarily be the best for you. You can select whichever color you prefer as per maybe the organization settings, but me, I prefer a blue color. So, but it doesn't mean that you are supposed to use the same color as we are using here. So what I want to put in, I want to, because me, I know here from the color model, there is what we call RGB. If you hit this down arrow, it has RGB and HSL. So we maintain the RGB, we have the RGB code. If you know the color code, you can actually just put in the color, the codes without you selecting those colors. Those colors will be selected by themselves just by using those colors, those RGB code. So RGB is just red, green, and blue. It's not all that it's something else. So what we are going to do is we are going to go and put a 50 in that format for red. So what we can do, let's hit the tab key to move in that red box. So we put in 50, we hit the tab key, we go to green, we put in 113, 113. We hit the tab key again to go to blue. So for blue, you put 210. So you will see that these colors are going to be coming up here. The current one is black, of course we are seeing, but with the new one is blue. This is what we are picking. So we click OK. So now we've selected this as our. So we have also to click here and we make it a box. You will see here the sample will be showing. It shows that this is the same color that we needed. So we come and hit the OK, or we hit the enter key. And you find that we have gotten that blue border on our actual values. So now, what we are going to do now, we've seen that we have put that color, just like the way you've seen that. So what we want to do now, we want also for the forecast to have a different border. It will look a little bit different. So we highlight this. And after highlighting, we are going to go through the same procedure went through by using the Alt key. It takes you to those letters you are seeing. We hit H for home, B for borders, M for more borders, and we can come here and we select. We are also going to maintain the same color, but this time round, we are going to pick from our left-hand side here. Let's just pick this one. This one we picked from our right-hand side, but here we are picking from the left-hand side. So let's also make it surround the entire worker that we have. Since we had already selected these items already, we don't need to reset them again. We just hit the enter key, and you will see that the colors, they look a bit the same. The colors are the same, but the borders, they are different. Those are what we call the border controls. You can use the same colors, same border settings, but at the end of the day, you find that you are having some good visual. Now you can see that we've used the same color, but the borders, they are slightly different. So that slightly different border for the forecasts is the one that has actually helped us to make the readers see things differently, because we are seeing, even as we can see from our perspective, that those two things, they actually stand out and they are really different. So since we have all that we needed, and everything, all the borders are in place, as well as we change the font of those values that you are seeing inside those borders. So now there is a little bit more of visual difference in place, and we can clearly see that those forecasts and the actuals, they look a bit different just by introducing those borders, as you've seen, because those borders, they are slightly different borders that we have inserted for those financial forecasts. So that small thing that we've done, it may seem like it is something small, but it is really going to help our audience to differentiate between actuals and the forecasts. And it may have taken a little bit of work, but now that we have those forecasts in place and all these borders in the actuals and the forecasts, then what we can do, we can copy along. Actually, we can just copy those things. If we need to add just something else, because we have already done it, what we can only do is to copy and paste. We can copy those and we paste them somewhere if we need to use them. So this time we've taken to create those things, it is just saving us, because as we go on with the course, we may find ourselves copying those things and we paste them in different fields as we progress. So in the next video, we are going to look at this heading up here, assumption, that heading you are seeing there. And we are going to see how we can make that a little bit better and more code compliant. So we'll see you in the next video, where we are going to be talking about the headings and the width of those different headings. So we'll see you in the next video.